Good afternoon and welcome to Time for Truth. My name is Christina, and today we're going to be talking about positivity and keeping our eye on the goal. So remaining optimistic and keeping a sunny outlook. So today I'm going to be mixing two of my favorite drinks. That would be a San Pellegrino and Fresca. So we're going to go ahead and combine those two. Makes for a snappy little drink. Pop this over here. And wishing you a very nice day, and thank you for stopping by my channel. So, as I said, my name's Christina, and this is Time for Truth. I like a little bit of positivity to start out with, so today I have this tiny little book. It's called Secrets of Serenity, a treasury of inspiration. So I kind of flipped through it and I thought, what's the topic for today? Let me see if there's anything that resonates. And there was something, actually two things. So I'm going to read them. Happiness doesn't depend upon who you are or what you have. It depends solely upon what you think. That's a quote by Dale Carnegie, 1888, 1955, noted as an American writer and speaker. And I flipped a few more pages in it to my other little note card. And it says, never be afraid to sit a while and think. And that quote is by Lorraine Hansberry, 1930 to 1965. And she was an American playwright. So I wanted to share those because I think that thinking is important. So acting is important, but thinking and having a plan and preparing. These are things that have helped me to prepare myself when I have something coming up, when I have something that I need to tend to, is to make a plan. I don't always want to make a plan. I don't always want to deal with it, but sometimes I must, and so I make a plan. So the plan for this week is I will be seeing a new oncologist tomorrow. And I'm bounced around between a few different healthcare systems in the area, the Delmarva region where I live. So it's very difficult for patients because some providers are with one healthcare system, but not affiliated with the other. There are some hospitals that one provider might be affiliated with, but another one in your care team isn't. It's all just a big mess. So to add insult to injury, with regard to just trying to access healthcare in this area, is the drive time, the wait time for appointments. I'll be driving tomorrow 3 hours round trip for this appointment. I'll be doing the same thing the following week to see a different provider at that same location. So I tried to combine it into one day. No, none of that can be done. Oh my goodness, don't even ask. It's all a big inconvenience to try and put together a treatment plan that works for the patient too, especially when they know I'm driving 3 hours round trip. And I'm not asking for any special accommodations. I'm willing to wait until both the calendars have an opening on the same day, but it's that's a step too far. That's too much to ask. So at any rate, I'll be traveling tomorrow. I'm very fortunate that I have my husband who goes with me to all of these appointments. He is my caregiver. As one of the local nonprofits for breast cancer likes to remind everybody, the caregivers are as important as the patient. And in fact, that's very true, because without my husband caring for me, I'm not sure what I would have done and how I would have managed this past year and a half. I was managing pretty well, on my own going to appointments. I didn't like what was happening. I didn't like how I was being treated. I didn't like the way that I was being left feeling when I left. So I began asking my husband to come with me, just to have a second set of eyes. And boy, was that a shocker for him. So having a healthcare advocate when we're not well is extremely important. Not just to make sure that things are done the way that they should be done in these medical facilities, but to have that second set of eyes and ears to see what's going on. Because I sometimes would think, my gosh, that could not have really happened. There's no way that happened. And then I would come home and tell my husband, he's like, what? And I'd be like, yeah, I know. So, I began with this cancer diagnosis to say, hey, can we travel together, because these are long road trips, and also I'd like to have you with me. And he's just stepped right up to the plate, amazingly, just with everything that I've needed. So I want to give, that shout out of gratitude to my husband, because without that, I believe this would have been a much more difficult journey. So the oncologist that I will see tomorrow is affiliated with the hospital where I had both of my surgeries. And she is also a provider at the same hospital that my surgeon is located at. So basically, these healthcare facilities open up a cancer center, and it's typically named for some person that's been through a courageous fight, and now they have a center named for them. So the one that I will be going to is the same one where I had both the surgeries. So there is one closer, and I did get a referral from my primary care to go to that oncology department. I was even seen at that oncology department, which is about 30 minutes down the road, for potential radiation treatments that I was going to need to undergo. That ended up not being the case. So there was a series of events that happened during, I'm thinking that it was 3 visits to that location, where things just, like I said before about, things were bad and then they just got worse. So that was how it was at the location 30 minutes down the road. So even though my primary care sent referrals to them for me, I'm an active, cancer patient still under treatment. Nothing, no response whatsoever. And the story on that is once I began finding the providers who would begin the treatments for this condition of cancer that I was diagnosed with, I ended up going to one breast surgeon, who was off-site of the main campus offices of the surgeon that I eventually went with. Sorry if this is all like a big confusing mess, but that's what it's been. So I went to her. Bad. Anyways, yeah. I was told, oh yeah, whatever treatments, surgeries you have, we'll only be giving you Advil and Tylenol. Here's a pink packet, and we'll make a next appointment for you. And that just kind of shuffled through. And I'm all still in a state of shock, really, after a couple of other treatments that I had had to undergo before I even got to that one. But she said, oh, you have to have an MRI, and you must go to this place. So no longer could I go to, not that I would want to go back to my radiologist after he put me off for 6 months, but she was adamant about, you must go to this one, and they do the scans the way that I want them. Those were her words. So I'm like, okay, I'm just following along doctor's orders. I need I know that I need surgery. I'm in front of a breast surgeon, so I'm trying to be accommodating and understanding of the process so that I can follow it. I wasn't seeking to go outside of the lines. I'm just trying to put it into place, my treatment plan. So that MRI was an absolute something out of the Twilight Zone. And I'm going to talk more about that in a whole different separate episode because it deserves its own episode. At any rate, I found a different breast surgeon, let's just put it that way. And this one happened to be with the same healthcare system that's an hour and a half away, because the one that is 25 minutes away had no available breast surgeons at the time that I needed them. So I was left with only that choice. So that's how that went. And I will talk more about a third healthcare system in my area that I had concerns about with the doctor that prolapsed my bladder when I reported the breast lump that same day in May of 2024. So I no longer was going to be seen by providers in that healthcare system for reasons that I later found out that actually why all the other providers were calling and canceling my appointments. So that will be a whole separate episode. So to stay focused, I am being seen tomorrow by this oncologist, 3 hours round trip. The oncology department, that's a half an hour away. When I was seen there in the beginning, I was actually, there's several incidences that happen. The first of which was that I was marked as a no-show after sitting in their waiting room for over an hour, which was just shocking. So I took that to patient relations, and there were just the oddest things going on that I had no basis for comparison other than that it felt very off. So that was the first incident, was that I was marked as a no-show even though I'd been sitting in the lobby and had checked in. Well, their check-in is what's whacked, is that you come off these elevators. First of all, they put the cancer patients in the basement of this brand new facility, no natural light. The elevator doors open and there's like a person there who comes up to you and has a rolling kind of monitor and checks you in. And then they took a piece of paper and took it over to the reception desk, and then that person just told us to sit down. Okay, so that's what we did. And I was pacing the waiting room, actually, and they rolled the tape based upon my complaint, and they affirmed that exactly what I told them in fact did happen in that waiting room, including me pacing, hearing the reception staff over there kicked back with their coffee cups, laughing and joking and having a good old time on a Friday afternoon when I'm sitting in the waiting room, are supposedly checked in, but apparently marked as a no-show. So the radiation oncologist, when I went up to the desk and asked those ladies what in the world was happening, he was very upset with what had gone on. So this is a whole thing. Pardon me while I just take a breather here and get anchored in reality, because I can get thrown right back into that situation, and how incredibly angering, just feelings of like, what is going on in this world? So I was there to see the radiation oncologist. He comes marching out. There's an immediate air of angst because all of a sudden I'm there, but I've been marked as a no-show, and now I'm like going, what the heck's going on? My husband's seeing it all go down. And the doctor got very upset with the staff, and he brought me into the office, and he gave me the good news that I don't need to have radiation. and he was one of the best providers that I have encountered. He's the first and one of the best providers that I have encountered in this entire journey. He's somebody who was completely honest with me, straightforward. He didn't mince words. He gave it to me straight. And he assessed my condition, understood that I had finished up the second surgery, that surgery had come back as all clear. And he said, if you were my sister, I would tell you, go live your life, have fun, make your plans, and go do them. And at one point, he also told me in a previous appointment that if I needed radiation, this is what he said to me. He said, well, fat people have worse outcomes with radiation, but you're not fat, so that's a good thing. And I was like, I really appreciate that as a former fat person. So we had a good laugh about that. And so there have been, really good experiences. I don't want to be all doom and gloom, because it has not been all doom and gloom, because I choose to remain optimistic, to find the humor, to find the good people along the way, and to give them the accolades. So by the same way that I will be quick to file a formal complaint and meet with patient relations and express my displeasure, I'll also be the first person to sign up one of the surveys and give 5 stars for the reasons that are stated below. And as you all know, I yakety yak an awful lot, so sometimes those comment sections get filled in a lot, because I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. And there are good medical providers out there. My primary care provider is another one that I will speak of as an excellent provider who takes the time to listen and to work with the patient where they are at that time based upon their past history. That in itself is a feat of miracle making, because my medical history is very, I don't even know the word to describe it. It's extensive. So I'll talk about all of that, in future episodes. But I do want to say that, I was sick from an early age, and it was undiagnosed femoral hernia, and I was released from the hospital as being, psychosomatic pain, like it's all in my head. So these are the kind of lack of care that women experience in the healthcare field while seeking care is horrendous right now. Incredibly horrendous. And I speak of that firsthand. So I can see, if I squint, that I'm at about 18 minutes on this. And I'm gonna close this off with the think, think, think. That was one of the little slogans on the walls of AA and NA, was think, think, think. We're smart creatures. We're gifted with incredible ability to analyze our own selves, to seek the knowledge of our own selves, what we need, what we don't need. So I have approached tomorrow's appointment with a plan, with my own treatment plan, to ask the questions that I want to answer, to understand what my choices are, because these are my choices. That's it. I don't follow an algorithm, as one physician's assistant said to me. Oh, you have to do that. That's not following the algorithm. I'm like, excuse me? So that's where I am on that. And now I'm moving into the 20-second or the 20-minute marker. So I'm going to bid all of you, my YouTube sunflowers, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to this story that I have to tell about my personal journey and what has been happening, because it's been a lot, and this is a way that I am, body, mind, and spirit, being able to process some of what has been happening and is continuing to happen, so that I can move forward and be a better person and to learn from it. That's the goal. What is the lesson? What can I learn from it? So thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate the views that I've received on my channel. It's made me feel really good. I know that my cousin in California is watching, and I just want to say thank you for the cookies from the mountains of California. You're a doll, and I know that you have supported me at a lot of times in my life when I really needed that support. And it wasn't until we were adults that sometimes those relationships can form and flower and grow. So that's a shout out to my cousin in Cali, in the mountains of Cali. All right, take care, be well, and please stop back by for tomorrow's cup of positivity. And until then, be well, take good care of yourself, and happy trails. So today I'm going to try and hit the button that actually turns this off. It's all a learning process. All right, you all take care. Bye.